I agree.
So I just started the recording. Welcome everyone to today's session from the Business Relations Strategist weekly call. And Abhishek, who happens to be in India, past midnight India time, has agreed because this was his idea that he wanted to share the information because of, let me just share my screen. Can you guys see this? Because of Abhishek's 12 internship offers that he accomplished the last term, Abhishek still gets asked how he received 15 interviews. And out of those 15 interviews, he actually got 12 internship offers from only 106 applications. I just spoke to a student in a resume session, and they were saying they sent out over 400 resumes. And I asked them how many interview they got, and they said 0. So part of this call right now would be to, number one, have Abhishek share what he did. And then number two, it's for you guys who attended. Thank you again for joining us to get your questions answered by the man himself. So without further delay, Abhishek, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Bunny. Thank you for the kind introduction. So since the process wasn't that difficult, so what I did, it's a combination of lots of things. It includes my resume, LinkedIn, elevator pitch, networking, communication building, and everything else around it. So I made 106 applications because first thing first, there was economic slowdown. So not everybody was hiring. There was a hiring freeze. People were getting laid off. So what I did on the first place, I looked into the industries which were recession proof. For example, automobile, airlines, hospitality, healthcare, pharmaceuticals. All these industries are recession proof. They were hiring back and again and again. So what I did, I made a list of 10 industries from each of these lists. So back and forth, I had around 100 to 120 organizations. So once I had that master list, what I did, I just made an Excel sheet and looked for those companies on the LinkedIn. I followed their page, looked for their job application process, if they are hiring for their roles related to data. Being a data professional, I was more aligned to that kind of roles. So I just started looking for those roles. And as soon as the opportunities used to arise, I used to apply. But before directly going on to apply, there was a process that I used to follow. For example, if let's say there's a role called data analyst or data scientist, and if it's posted by someone from that organization, so before going on to post or apply for that job, I used to get in touch with that person. So how I used to get in touch with that person? So I just don't jump up to their profile and send them a connection request. There's a process before that. So the process we call the personalized invite. So that invite involves you have to go through their profile, read about them for maybe for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or let's say give them 10 or 5 minute read to their profile, know what they are doing, know what they like to do, know what they are sharing, what kind of content they do, what kind of experiences they have. And on the basis of that, you can drop them a customized message to them with the invite and wait for that. So it may take a week or so, but if it's taking, let's say, more than 3 days, then you should apply for that role. But let's say on a positive side, you get a reply from them. So don't directly ask them for the referral or something else. Start building the communication. So building a communication is an art which I learned with Bernie and other mates from career services over the period of time. So there are some crucial skills that you need to learn. For example, communication building and how to use LinkedIn before jumping on to applying. So these are the things that you need to do and make sure that they are aligned to your goals and what you're trying to achieve. So once they are aligned, you can move on to the second process. So this is the entire process into this. So communication building is crucial. Then there's a thing I used was networking. For example, you can simply go to the Google and you can search free tech events near me. So if your location is on, you can get all those free events that are happening around Chicago all over the year. So on weekends with my friends, I used to go to those networking events, talk to those people. But before I go and talk to those people, I used to search about them and the companies they are representing. So for example, let's say there is somebody from 𝗶𝗲𝗄𝗃𝗏. So I just used to open their LinkedIn page, read about the 𝗶𝗏𝗄𝗃, kind of things they are doing. Then I used to approach that person. With my area of interest, I had my elevator pitch ready. So elevator pitch is nothing but your brief introduction. It typically can be 30-second, 45-second, or 1.5 minutes. It depends on the place you are introducing yourself. For example, let's say if you are in a networking events, so you can have your elevator pitch of a minute. But if you are in a career services or career fair event, there you need to have an elevator pitch of 45 seconds. Now, coming back to the networking event, if you are in a networking event, so there you need to have an elevator pitch of 60 seconds. Therein, you need to mention a few things. For example, your name, what are you doing? If you have any professional experience, you have to mention that. But at the end, before ending, then you have to say something that matches their area of interest. For example, let's say if they're a finance company, you can mention, oh, in my recent time, I have worked on a project, even if it's not a professional project or a professional experience. You can mention if you have done some project or something related to that. For example, let's say the company is based on finance. You can mention, oh, recently I have worked I have worked on a project where I have used these kind of data to get data-driven insights, and I got ABC insights. And even I was reading about your company that you're working in the same direction. So I would like to know more about it. And at the end of your elevator pitch, just drop a question for them so that you can have a two-way communication. So that's how you start building the communication. So let's say in that event, when you build up the communication, make sure before leaving, you need to have their either email ID, LinkedIn, or phone number. Any of these three will work. And let's say they share their LinkedIn right away. So don't send them a connection request right away in front of them. Just take a screenshot of that or something like that. I used to take a screenshot of that person. And as soon as I reach back home, I looked into their profile again and drop them a customized message. For example, oh, hello, today we had a very insightful discussion or at this particular networking event, and I got to know more about this particular company and about you, and I'm looking forward to learning more from your end. Kind regards, my name. So that's how I started building the communication. So all these things I was doing in parallel, and maybe some or the other things started working for me. And once I had the master list, I applied for all those roles. And approx, I got 15 interviews and I cracked 12 of them. And I didn't appear for 3 interviews actually. So that was the strategy I followed. But since we have a limited time, I
So
cannot
hang on a
mention all
second.
that.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Abhishek. So you said you did
yeah,
attend 3 of those interviews. So that means you're
yeah,
actually 100%. You
yeah,
got 12
maybe.
offers from 12
Yeah,
companies that you interviewed with.
yeah. I didn't appear because I got to know now I have 12 other offers and I can focus on something else. So I didn't appear for all these interviews. I think those three were from the same company, that was Spirit Airlines.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I didn't appear for those three. So since we have a limited time and I can discuss tons of things and keep on saying, but now I leave it up to you guys. If you have any specific questions, you can ask, or we have a weekly meetings like the business relation meeting every Thursday, 12:45. You can jump in and ask the question, and even my LinkedIn is open for the questions. So now if you have any specific question related to your resume, LinkedIn, how I applied, or you have any specific to data science or anything else around that, feel free to ask.
Okay. While the students are thinking of questions to ask Abhishek, I'm going to kick it off to kind of like spur their memory.
Sure.
So when you said you looked at different industries and then you
Yeah.
identified specific areas and then you identified 10 companies, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So within those 10 companies, you found how many people within each company on LinkedIn?
Almost 100%.
Almost 100%. So usually the
Yeah.
approach of students is to go by the job ad. They look to see if there's an opening and then they apply to that. You, on the other hand, did it differently in that you went to the industries, you looked for the companies, and then you did a different way of job
Yeah.
search, so to speak.
Yeah.
why is one better than the other? Can you please contrast that?
Okay, I got your question. So that is an interesting point, because most of the people, and even my seniors back then and my fellow mates, they were doing the same thing. Even I was following the same thing, but I thought of doing it differently. So when I started doing it, I didn't get any result initially. So, but since it wasn't working, so I thought of giving it some more time. So when it started working, it started working. So why I was doing it, for example, let's say if I'm into a tech industry or IT industry, my prime focus would be applying into the industries which are hardcore tech industries. For example, it would be let's say it could be a FANG means it could be Meta, or those big names, or any IT company. But since there's economic slowdown, there was a freeze, people were getting laid off, all those big names. So I primarily focused on the startups, middle tier, and the industries which are around me, maybe in Chicago or nearby areas, let's say, or nearby states. First, primarily I focused on Chicago, the nearby states, let's say Michigan and Wisconsin, and also Indiana. So this was my prime focus. That was Midwest. So once I got to know that there are some industries which are recession proof, they are not facing the wrath of economic slowdown. So some of those industries that I mentioned earlier, for example, automobile, aviation industry, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, uh, hospitality, all these industries are recession proof. They were hiring people, and they were looking for the people who knows the tech, who knows the business. And the most crucial part was not just knowing the tech, but knowing the business as well. So for example, let's say there's some industry which is a transportation industry, because currently I'm working with CTA, that is a transportation company. So I didn't have any experience in that. But in the interview, they asked me, since you don't have any experience in the transportation industry, how do you think you will be a good fit? So they will ask you these kind of questions. So do you have to convey your answer in the best way possible? So I just told them, since I have an experience in marketing, I have experience in finance, I have experience in all those industries, and I have acquired those skills in short period of time. And being a quick learner, I'll be able to learn the transportation industry business in the given time. So what I need, just some time, maybe a week, and after that, once I learn the business, I'll be able to apply the tech like I applied in my previous experiences. So you have to convey your message in the best way possible. So that's how it should work. And even yesterday I was reading, after Amazon laid off around 16,000 people, even today Alphabet and Google and all other companies are laying off. So my recommendation would be, focus on those industries, but again, don't lose your focus on the industries which are recession proof, which are not facing any wrath of economic slowdown or all these things. So these industries could be in Chicago, because Chicago is a new hub for all those kinds of industries. So you just have to look around, go to those networking and tech events. For example, on 21st, 23rd, 25th, 26th, there are four big hiring events and tech events or networking events in the Chicago itself. And those are all free for us. Even I registered for that. I would recommend register for that. Go there, talk to the employers. Tell them that you exist among the heap of the different peoples. You have some different skills, and you can bring some values to the table if they get to hire them. And once they know you, that you exist, it would be a cakewalk. Trust me, it would be a cakewalk, because out of my 106 application, I received some assessments as well. But for most of my application, there was no assessment, because I had a direct communication. They just had 2 or 3 interviews, and I was good to go. So I would say focus on these lines as well.
Awesome, awesome. So
Yeah.
thanks for joining. For the other people who just joined, if you want a copy of this recording, please put your email address in the chat. And I realized that 𝗶ৃ𝘁𝗲𝗿𝘃𝗀, well, thanks for joining us. You were wondering how you could join, get a hold of folks. The instructions was, if anybody had specific questions for Abhishek, please unmute and just ask away. I think you,
Hello, Abhishek.
there you go.
Hi, Rishabh. Hi.
What were the events that you were saying, like right now, specifically if you
Okay.
know the event names?
Okay, sure. So I don't recall the name of those events actually, but if you go to Meetup, there are two apps that I use. One is Meetup, the other one is Eventbrite. So if you go to these two apps, just put your location to Chicago, Illinois, and filter free events, and then filter networking. So you will get all those tech events which are going to happen in the Chicago in the this month, next month, and you're free to attend. And then there is a one particular organization, if I can remember, that is AI Camp. So if you are into AI, machine learning, data science, I would say subscribe to AI Camp. So once you subscribe to AI Camp, they have weekly meetups. So if you go to those weekly meetups, you'll meet so many people, and you can prove them that you exist and you have those skills and they need to hire you. So these are the three things that I would recommend.
Were you seeing regular people at those events, Abhishek? That's how you kind of network more?
No, there you will hardly see any common faces in those events, because what people do, I would say in the other way. So some of the time people will apply something for maybe once or twice, and they will think it's not working, so it's better to leave. I would say just give it a try for at least a month. Go to a networking event for a month, maybe a month and a half. Just give it some time, because good things take time to happen. So just be there, just keep going, and sooner or later it will work for you. But don't just give it a try for a week, or let's say you went just for an event and you didn't give a followed an approach. Because just now I suggested an approach, like if you're going to a networking event, how should you approach the people? Let's say I'm at a networking event and Bernie is a hiring manager. Let's say Bernie is from a marketing company. So throughout the discussion, I got to know that Bernie is a hiring manager, or maybe a person who's working for an ABC organization, and he's in marketing. Now, if I have to approach Bernie, so how will I do it at that event? I won't simply go to ask him, hi, my name is Abhishek, and I'm pursuing master's in data science, and I have this much years of experiences. That's all. So there is a silence now. So make sure that there is no silence. First, you need to know what this particular person is hiring for, which particular industry he belongs to. Let's say, and you can know, for example, before you approach, there will be some or the other person will be talking to him. So you can listen to those communication or the conversation very carefully, and you'll get some good points. And once you get those good points, you can start building the communication. So once I get to know that he's from marketing, I'll approach him. Oh, hi Bernie, my name is Abhishek. I'm pursuing my master's in data science. I have over 6 years of professional experiences as a software developer, engineer, senior data analyst. And currently I was working in a personal project where I'm getting the marketing data from e-commerce website, and I'm tracking down the data to get to know what are their quarterly sales over year by year and which product are increasing. Even I read your blog about your organization recently on LinkedIn or maybe on your website, and it talks about the same predictive modeling things. And I think I did the same thing. And what do you think about it? So something like that, you have to, that's how you are supposed to introduce yourself. And at the end of that elevator pitch, just drop a question so that he should apply. Don't just leave the communication in between. So it should be crisp. It should be crisp. It should be to the point. It should be more about them, not about you. Initially, it would be about you, but at the end, ask them a question relating your experiences to theirs. That's how it works at the networking event. So it should be followed in that particular order. It may sound tedious, it may sound tiring, but trust me, if you keep on doing it, you will see the success sooner or later. Because some of my friends whom I suggested initially, they were not following it, but now I'm seeing some of them dropping that they are getting full times or even internships. And even next week when I'm returning back, if you are interested, I'll see you all those on those networking events or tech events. I can show you how I do it, and you can follow the same.
So for those students, your buddies that kind of copied
Yeah.
what you were suggesting to them, what do you think is the biggest thing that they changed from your suggestion that made them start getting those full-time or
Okay.
internships?
So there are not just a single thing. So I recommended them how I structure my resume. For example, what should go in, how they should restructure the resume, and what kind of things they need to mention, how it should be more quantitative and both qualitative both, and there should be no grammatical mistakes and everything around a resume. Then second thing was the LinkedIn. For example, as per the new LinkedIn algorithm, since we are into IT, we need to know those things. So as per the new LinkedIn algorithm, if you're posting something once a week, if so, your profile will be up on the top. Second thing, suppose if you are looking for the roles like software developer or maybe something related to business or let's say data, so make sure these kinds of keywords get repeated in your profile at least 3-4 times. Let's say if I'm hiring manager, I'm looking for a data analyst in Chicago from IIT. So if I'll search for it, if you have those keywords, your name will appear up on top. So these are the two things. Then the third thing would be, make sure that your LinkedIn is in sync with your resume. For example, your header is on top. You need to have a good headshot, background sticker, and everything related to LinkedIn needs to be very well structured. Then the third thing would be the elevator pitch. I just narrated how to do it. Third thing is communication building. Communication building is very necessary because once you start communicating with someone, there may be chances that there will be a dead end. So you have to make sure that there is a no dead end, because if you've come across a dead end, so there will be end of a communication. Then let's say if you're trying to communicate with someone and they're ignoring you, it could be a hiring manager or the person you're trying to communicate. So how can you catch their attention? For example, you can endorse them, not for so many skills, but maybe one or two. You can go back, follow them, unfollow them. They will receive a notification. Then maybe if they are posting something, you can drop a comment on it. If you come across something that they might interested in, you can tag them in that post. So that's how you can catch their attention. Apart from that, networking events. So I suggested them all those things and other bunch of things, and I'm not really sure what worked for them because they were doing it all in parallel. So there are tons of things.
Awesome, Abhishek. So just to summarize what you said, number one, get your resume in tip-top shape. Number two, sync your LinkedIn to your resume. Number three, it's about your communication with your elevator pitches. Number four, you talked about strategies. If they weren't getting the attention that they were looking for from the target people that they wanted, there are ways to do this. And some of this information is talked about in the LinkedIn group under hashtag business relations. So,
Since we have a group of career services with IIT on the LinkedIn, if you go to that group, you'll find a PDF, I think, right, Bernie? There's a PDF which says everything else in very great depth. You can follow one of these. Suppose if you come across how to do this, you can search it in the search bar and you can directly redact yourself to that point. You can read and do it. Don't just read it, try to implement it. So once you do it, you will get to know if it's working for you or not. But I would suggest give it some time, maybe a week or two, just keep on doing it, because now we know the market is opening up, people are hiring here every now and then. So it's a high time you should be focused on these. But before going on to apply, make sure all these 5 things, all those 5 crucial pillars are in sync with your profile. So you should start with your resume ideally.
Very good. So I'm going to want to ask you a question much later, but there are 2 questions. Bhavana, just instructions to the folks. You're sending the messages directly to me. Send it to everyone, please, so that everyone can see the question. Bhavana asks, hey, Abhishek, do we need to create a portfolio? Is it required? Do companies ask for it?
Okay, so first I'll answer, do company ask for it? So it depends person to person. It depends on different hiring managers if they are looking for a portfolio or not. But so it depends on different person, but they won't directly ask you. So before jumping onto the portfolio, I would recommend if you have a structured GitHub. Why GitHub? So let's say if you have a portfolio, but you don't have a structured GitHub, so it will be a waste of time. So I'll show you when I say a structured GitHub, what do I mean? So I'll show. Bunny, can you allow me to share my
Yes,
screen?
I forgot. Yes,
Please?
I should have taken care of that. There you go. You're clear.
Okay. Let me know if can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so that's my GitHub. I'll just show what I mean by systematic. So let's say I have this project. So in this project, I have clearly mentioned the introduction. What was the problem statement? And if you have any questions, you can come across. I have given them all those PDF document like intermediate report, project proposal, and everything else. Apart from that, I have a clear-cut introduction over here. So like my name, the skills I know, everything else. And likewise, if you see all these things, so they are sorted in on a very structured order. So that's how you should maintain your GitHub. It's not just about your code repository, but it should have a clear communication with the hiring manager, the person who is looking into your GitHub. So make sure it has a problem statement, a solution, or goals or something like that. And if you're doing it in a collaboration, make sure you have added those collaborators. So if you have a structured GitHub ready, I don't think you'll be needing a portfolio for the internship if you're looking for. But if you're looking for the full-time roles, I would recommend once you have a sorted GitHub, you can always have a portfolio. Even GitHub gives you an option to create your portfolio. I hope this answers your question. And also, I would like to show one more thing. How when I say your GitHub, your resume, your LinkedIn, everything needs to be in sync. What do I mean by that? For example, let's say if I go to my profile and I drop down to my projects. For example, let's say here is the one project that I did maybe last semester. So the project was music therapy treatment based on emotion detection. So here I have a problem statement in brief. I have insights, the tech stack that we used, a GitHub URL, and a contributor, my friend. So that's how you need to make sure that your project, which is presented on the GitHub, is in sync with your LinkedIn. So I have presented it like that. And likewise, I have presented all of my projects in the same fashion. So if I say they are in sync, they are in sync. And you need to make sure that you have provided the URLs of those GitHub projects in your resume as well. For example, this is my resume and here is a URL. So if you have a URL added for a particular project in your resume, it gives credibility to your project. For example, if you are a hiring manager and you're looking into a resume and you don't find any authentic URL where you can see the code or the details, it's waste. So make sure that you have a URL added, and once they click on it, it can redirect them to your project. So that's how I mean that everything is in sync. I hope it answers your question.
Cool. Bhavana, please feel free to unmute if you have a follow-up. Otherwise, we are going to Shivani's question.
Yes, Abhishek, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Shivani asked, hi, Abhishek, should we just target LinkedIn for internship or should we consider other websites?
Okay, that's a good question. So initially, even I was struggling with that. So I tried Indeed, I tried Ripple Match, I tried LinkedIn and everything else. But your prime focus should be on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, don't ever apply with the easy apply option. Easy apply is a waste of time. I'm saying this because I have seen my friend struggling with that. They used to apply like 100 200 jobs in a single day using easy apply, and it was waste. So let's say if you see a job in XYZ organization and it gives you an option of easy apply, don't do that. Go to the website of the company, look for the career page, and if they have the similar role available, then apply directly from their website. So the two crucial resources for making all those applications would be LinkedIn and the company's website directly. So these are the two most authentic and crucial resources. But you are always good to diversify. For example, you can use Handshake, and using Handshake is a different art. If I say art, what I mean here. So if you see some roles on Handshake for internship, let's say internship, so there will be some person who have posted that. So again, the process will be same. Try to contact that particular person that you have come across that particular role on Handshake, and you are interested in that, and you have all those skill set that are required to be a better professional for that. So this is the same fashion that you can apply on the Handshake. So apart from LinkedIn, the website of the organization, I would say Handshake. So these already will give you tons of options to apply for. So, if you come across any other website or portal that you think they are authentic, I would say go for it. But don't waste your time on because there are tons of websites available. I don't want to name, but there are few things apart from LinkedIn and company's website. There are some tools that I would like to mention. For example, Joblytics. So what Joblytics does, I'll again give you a demo. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So if I go on jobs, let's say if I go on jobs and let's say there's a job called machine learning engineer. So I have a Joblytics ready. I'll click on it. I'll analyze. So it says my resume is 52% matched with this particular role. And it will highlight, for example, the green things are those which are already available in my resume, and the red thing I don't have. So what I'll do, I'll quickly go in my resume and I'll see if I can fit any of these into my resume. So this is one of my favorite tool that I use for me before making an application. And make sure that your resume is at least 40% match, because in my experiences and the experiences of my friends, if it's above 40%, you are good to go. And the second thing is simplify. So what simplify does, you have to fill all of your information over here. So most of the time you have to fill them application from this scratch again and again. So you have to fill the simplify, and on a single click it will automatically fill your resume and you'll be good to go. So that's how you can ease your application making process, these two applications.
Why? Amazing, amazing tools. Thank you.
Yeah.
Was that good for Shivani? Was Shivani who asked that question?
Yes, thank you, Abhishek. And I have one more question for you.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, how do we target the startup instead of FANG or just big companies?
Okay, so again, so the first thing would be, so the question is, if I get the question right, you want to know how to know which company, which all startup companies, all the middle tier industries you should apply, right?
Yes, so like, do I just need to search on the LinkedIn filters, or how do I do that?
Okay. So since LinkedIn filter sometimes somewhat awkwardly, so I would say again those events. So if you go to those events, you talk to the people, they will tell you, oh, I know some of my friends, they are looking for a data analyst or data engineer or software engineer for this particular organization. So by going on to those or those networking or tech events, you'll get to know about tons of industries or the organizations which are startups, or they are looking for the industry or the entry-level professionals. Apart from that, there is a particular website for Chicago itself. Let me recall the name. I think I bookmarked somewhere. So in that website, you can find the name of all those. I can't find it right now.
You can share that in the LinkedIn group later, Abhishek, when you find it too.
Yeah.
You can't find it
Yeah.
today.
So in that tool, they will keep on posting all those entry-level roles and everything else every now and then. So that is the second option that you may have. Yeah, I just remember. I'll show. This is, I think it is built in Chicago.
While Abhishek is looking
this-
for that, Shivani, are you in any of the classes, iPro, or in contact with Kaplan folks?
No, right now, no.
Okay, that's part of what we need to do. Reach out to me on LinkedIn so you and I can talk some more about that, okay?
Yeah.
So,
So this is the portal where you can search all those different companies available, which have their offices in Chicago. You can go by the roles, discover the companies. If let's say if you drop the number of experiences, you can get tons of companies over here and all those roles. So this is the other option that I use most frequently. Even if you are looking for remote jobs, you can search for companies. Let's say if you click on the companies, it will show you the company. Let's say ParkSpot. You can click on view jobs. It will show you the jobs which are available in Chicago, and it's all for the Chicago. So you can see all those jobs. So once you see the job, you can go to their website, you can apply. So this is the one portal. I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek.
Yep, no worries.
Awesome shares. Other questions? Because I have a question for Abhishek. Anybody
Me too.
else have a question? Yes, I do. Vivek says, hello, Abhishek. Do you use the same projects on your resume for every position, or do you change them to fit the position?
That's a good question, I would say. So it's about the resume. So let's say if I'm applying for, so currently as a data professional, I'm looking for machine learning engineer, data scientist, data engineer, data analyst, all those kinds of roles. So let's say if I have done a project where I have used deep learning, computer vision, natural language processing, and I'm applying for a machine learning engineer. So I'll make sure that particular project is on top in comparison to the other projects. So that's how it should work. So that's why I use flowcv.io, because flowcv.io gives you freedom to swap and manage your projects very frequently. For example, you here. So let's say that's why I use flowcv. So let's say my extracurricular projects are here. So if I want to apply for a role where I have used artificial intelligence, so I'll just move it up and it works in the real time over here. So that's why I use this particular tool. And since it's a ATS friendly, so it's good to go and it's free. So this is another tool that I use. So make sure if you're applying for particular role, that project should be on top.
So Flow CV is a resume add-on to
Building.
help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
a resume building tool where you have to just drag and drop everything and it will create this systematic and simple resume for you.
Cool.
Yep. So does it answer your question?
Yes, Abhishek. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Vivek, anybody else have a question before I ask my question?
Yes, one more I have, Abhishek.
There you go.
Sure.
I just wanted to know, what about this ATS resume friendly? Because I do see lots of advertisement on the LinkedIn also. Like, if our resume is getting rejected on the first off only, right? So there is no purpose of sending emails or
Yep.
some other LinkedIn message to the company's HR or some other position. So, do you suggest some website where we could just check if our resume is ATS friendly or not?
Okay. So there are some websites like Resume Builder. So they say that they try to maximize optimize your resume for the ATS, but different company uses different ATS system. So you never will got to know which system is working for you or not. But there are some industrial standard practices. For example, don't use any kind of special character in your resume. Apart from bullet marks or hyphen, you are not supposed to do anything else, because in one of my experiences, one of my mentor told me that I have used some special characters in my resume, and those special characters were appearing as a question mark, and ATS wasn't reading anything after that. So I would say keep it simple, and ATS thing is a real. But again, there is a solution for that. For example, networking. Why? So if you come across someone and they are ready to refer you, so that is the best thing, because that by using that, your resume will bypass the ATS system. Let's say if you can get in touch with some hiring manager or someone from that organization, they can help you forward their resume directly to the hiring manager. So that's how you can bypass. But if you're not bypassing, make sure that your resume is standard. It's of one page. If your experience is less than 8 or to 10 years, that is mid-senior level, make sure it's of one page. You are not using any special character. There are no grammatical mistakes. There should be a proper structure. Everything is aligned. So there are tons of other standard practices that you can find in the Illinois Tech Career Services group on the LinkedIn. So it says all those guidelines. But apart from that, if you need some more suggestion, if you want to get your resume review, you can get in touch with Bernie or someone from Career Services, or you can drop me a message as well.
Sure, thank you.
Yep. So
We have
that's
a
why I
resume
keep on
session at 2
saying,
o'clock.
yeah, today.
Yes, actually, we had 3 sessions so far. The last one for today is at 2 o'clock, but feel free to reach
Okay.
out for any resume help. I think Vivek had a question. Were you done there, Shivani?
Yes, yes, Bernie, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Vivek had a question.
Yeah, my question was already answered.
We could barely hear you, Vivek.
Yeah.
Bernie, his
There's,
question was
noise.
answered by Abhishek.
Oh, was that? I thought somebody else had another question. Did I call another person? Did I call
Yeah,
Vivek instead
I
of
think it
somebody
was from
else?
Shubham.
yeah, I
Oh,
have.
Shubham. That's right. It was Shubham.
Yeah,
Shubham, it's yours.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi Abhishek.
Hi. Hi, Shubham.
So I wanted to ask a particular question about resume. So
Yeah.
if you have a particular job description with you and it have some skills, but
Mhm.
thing is happen that you don't have particular some skills from that job description. So do you mention in that your resume or not? So how you go forward with it?
Okay, so there's a hack again. So what I did, I created a infinity matrix for that. So let me show you that. Let me see, where is that infinity matrix? Oh yeah. Uh, I'll show you. So there is a particular process you can overcome that issue for forever. So this is a thing that I created for myself. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So for example, I created this infinite insights for myself. So I'll tell you the recipe for to create this. So for example, being a data science student and a data professional, I'm looking for all these kinds of roles. So I have created a matrix for that. For example, my core competencies, my experiences, extracurricular projects, resources, courses, certification, hackathons, competition, and other things. So how do I create that? So let's say if I'm interested in a role like data analyst or data scientist or an or ML engineer. So what I did, I read around 50 to 60 job descriptions on LinkedIn for these particular role. For let's say for data analyst, I read 50 job description. So after reading those 50 job descriptions, you will get to know that there are some common skills which are common throughout all those job description. So these are marked in bold red. You can see over here, and there's other skills are over here. The same things I did for that. So if certain skills are common, you need to make sure that those skills needs to be in your resume, and make sure that you have 2 3 resumes for different kinds of roles, so that you don't need to make so many changes. For example, I have resume for data analyst, data scientist, ML engineer, ML ops engineer, consultant, and everything else. So if you have a resume for that, you won't have the too much of work to make some changes. And apart from updating all these things, let's say if you're applying, so what kind of roles you're looking for?
So I'm looking for ML engineer.
Okay, let's say you're looking for ML engineer. So for ML engineer, you need to know the Python, all those important libraries. You need to know DSA, ML intuition, ML algorithms, deep learning, NLP, AWS, big data, and all system designs. Sometimes they ask the ML system design and EDA, thereafter some databases. So apart from that, let's say they mention Keras, right? They can mention Keras, or let's say they mention PyTorch, or some other, let's say they mention NLTK. So if you don't have experience in that, make sure that you can just mention that for the sake of matching the keywords. And once you do that, make sure that you cross check if they are using it progressively. If they are using it progressively in their organization, you need to add it into some of your projects so that you can add credibility to it. So don't just add it blindly for the sake of matching it, but do it smartly. So let's say for ML engineer, you can be assured that these are some of the crucial skills you need to have. But if there is something above it, make sure you can just mention 1 or 2 of them and move on.
Yes, got it,
Do you
Abhishek.
have any follow-up? Yeah. So I would say just read the job description once. And there's a one crucial mistake that most of us do, even I used to do. So if whenever we come across any role or any job, we don't read the job description. We simply just go on to apply. So that is the biggest mistake. First, make sure that you are reading the job description. Once you read the job description, make sure your resume is aligned. To making it align, you can use Joblytics, you can use Simplify, you can use your Infinite Insights if you create one. So once you make sure that you have something in order, then only you should apply. Otherwise, it will be a waste of application.
Right. Got it. Thank
Yeah.
you. One more
Yeah.
question I
No
wanted to
worries.
ask.
Yeah.
So you have applied for in like Chicago and Michigan, you have said like around you. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask like why not California and all this? Why didn't you think about that? Is there any
Okay.
particular reason?
Yeah. So that's all. That's a good question. So it's all the mind play, I would say. So let's say you are applying for you are applying for machine learning engineer. Even I'm applying for a machine learning engineer, and the other 4 or 5 people who are available in this communication, they are applying for machine learning engineer, right? Let's say while applying, the company asks you, so these are the 3 or 4 locations which you can prefer. One location is, let's say, California. Let's say it's San Francisco. Second is Dallas. The third is Louisiana, somewhere in Louisiana. Third is Ohio. So most of the people, out of curiosity to explore California, they will mark California as their first choice. But since everybody is moving towards California, they will mark it first. So all those applications who have marked California or San Francisco as their first choice will go to there. Now you have a stiff competition over there. But let's say out of those, you have marked Ohio. And for Ohio, let's say there are only 3 applications. So you have less competition. So it works like that. So there can be other dimensions to this process, but that was my strategy. But it's always up to you how you want to apply. So that's why he suggested first look for the jobs in Chicago, because if you are available in Chicago, it would be easy for you to just go in and talk to the people. Once it doesn't work in Chicago, you can look for the nearby states. But for the sake of diversification, you can apply all over. For example, you can apply to Salt Lake City. There are some other big tech cities which are coming along. So make sure that you are applying to those parts as well, apart from applying to the big names like California or the Texas.
Right. Got
Am I
it.
clear? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Awesome. It's 1:39. I guess we're going to cut off to the last question, perhaps, or last two, because I know people have to run to classes as well.
Abhishek, could you
Yeah.
share that matrix sheet with us, if that's okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I can share. But so I would like to ask you what kind of roles you are applying for.
So personally, I would be applying for software engineers as well as ML engineer roles.
Okay, I would love to share, but before sharing with you, I would love to see your work. So once you need to show me that you are really interested. So you need to show me, because if I feel like that, I'll definitely share. I'll share. So I'll give you 2 things. So let's say for this week, you can read the job description for software engineer, right? And make a same kind of metrics. And if I'll see that you really worked, I am giving you my words. I will share that sheet with you. Sounds good?
Okay, cool.
Rishab,
Yeah.
do you understand why Abhishek brought up the point of doing this? Because everything that Abhishek is sharing with you, there's a background story to this. I mean, he obviously didn't just get those 12 jobs because he applied this secret pill or whatever. There's a background history to the information. And like he just shared earlier, that you have to pay attention to the job descriptions. That list that he shared with you guys is very targeted as to why he was getting the results that he got. So very good. I guess you got him to say yes after you give him the information.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome,
because
Rishab.
because that's how you will learn to read the job description. And once you learn to read a job description, it will be for your own good. And once you start doing it, I'll share. And just you can drop me a message or you can share the list. I'll look into it and I'll share mine.
Very good.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
follow up,
Yeah.
Rishab. Are you good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I guess in the interest of time, if there are no more questions, I guess we'll end the recording here. Final questions? Well, thank you for spending
No.
your time with us, Abhishek, at past midnight
Yeah,
where
no
you're
worries.
at.
And one more thing, Bernie, we are still in a discussion with the project that we are doing for career services, the project that based on data. So I think we need to connect for that as well, so that we can get it in sync.
Yes, let's work
Yeah.
on that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Abhishek, thank you for your time. Well, we're going to connect outside of this, obviously. So,
Yeah, sure.
bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.